Alright, hello everybody! Thank you for joining me for this week's video. Today we're going to talk about bathroom discrimination. I thought this would be kind of a fun, well, a good topic to bring up because I don't think I've really mentioned it before. So I kind of broke it down into a few different categories or a few different ways that we can be treated this way. And if you don't really know, if it doesn't really speak out to you what bathroom discrimination means, to me it means that one way or another you're being discriminated against for using the washroom. I know that sounds silly in those terms, but I think it is pretty rampant. Depending, I mean, like, I'm sure everyone's experienced it at some point in their lives, whether you are the one like hurting the other person with what you're saying or doing, or you're the one being hurt. But either way, I think it's important to talk about. So the first category I wanted to put under this, I think, and the most important, is frequency in urination. So I think that one gets used and abused the most because I think, I don't really know why. I've just been used to it so much throughout my life that I'm just sort of like, well, people like to make fun of people who use the washroom a lot. And it's gonna be usually in more social situations. The social situations that I've experienced it the most is at school and at work, because that's where I've spent most of my life. So I guess, like, when I was in school, I don't think I got teased the most. I don't think I got teased for it the most in school, but maybe after school or like with friends, people would just mention that or notice that I would be using the washroom more often. And like, it didn't really bug me then, but it does bug me now that I'm at work, because even though no one's outwardly saying stuff to me, I feel like I'm being judged regardless, because most of the people at work already know, or don't know, but like don't care, but the people at my work know that I have like bladder issues. And for some reason that seems to be even more awkward for me to say, like, I have to go use the washroom. I'm probably internalizing it quite a bit, but sometimes I think that when I say that I gotta go step away for a second, if you need me, you know, I'll be right back. And sometimes that's awkward because I still feel the judgment, like, oh, she has to use the washroom now. It's probably because of her like weird condition. I don't know. They probably don't think that, or even then I'm like, shouldn't that just give me a pass to feel like less you know, needy? Like, I don't, like, now that I have an excuse to use the washroom, or not an excuse, but now that I have a real diagnosis for why I need to go to the washroom, maybe it should make me feel less awkward about it. But no, it makes me feel more awkward about it. I thought it would make me feel better, but it doesn't matter, because at this point I have to take time off for doctor's appointments and surgeries and stuff, so it doesn't matter what I think or whatever they think. I just still have to use the washroom. So you know, people will tease you for feeling like you use the washroom too much, like you're some sort of freak. But everybody uses the washroom, so I really don't know what the purpose of making someone feel bad for that is. It's just something I've always experienced. Maybe you haven't experienced this, maybe this is just a me thing, but I think, like, a lot of people, you know, probably experience this at least once or something in their life, whether or not they have bladder problems or not. It's still to make you feel bad. Another bathroom discrimination I think is pretty popular is also traveling or road trips in which you don't really have a lot of control over where the bathroom stops will be. Also, there's this weird rule in most, like, I guess, North American places that I don't know if this is all across the world, but whoever drives decides the bathroom stops or something. Like, they determine the stops. And it's a stupid rule that people like to kind of enforce in weird situations. Like, I've been on road trips where people, like, the driver decides the bathroom breaks. And I've always been the driver, so fortunate for me, that's been a good thing. That one's really annoying because it's kind of like going against, I mean, like, at this point it's 2017 and people can get offended over anything. I'm not offended over these subjects, I think that these things have been going on for so long, I think it's time to sort of change your mindset on how, you know, life really is. Not everyone is going to have a bladder of steel because, you know, they can hold on to their urine better than most people. And, like, I don't really think that's a good thing, but I'm not to judge anyone whether or not they can hold on to their bladder longer than me. Like, hey, that's a good thing. But yeah, it's awkward. I'm so glad I'm normally the driver, but in a lot of cases people aren't. And there's also public transportation. Like, I wouldn't know what to do because whether or not, like, so the other night I went downtown to Ottawa to like downtown Ottawa to go see this cool event called La Machine, and I put it on my Instagram and stuff, and it's like these robots roam the streets and stuff, like big robots. Like, check it out on my Instagram. And I had to leave my house, which I don't live downtown Ottawa, I live pretty much in the boonies outside Ottawa, and I had to leave my house, drive downtown. So we parked at like a little mall. My friend and I met at a mall parking lot. So I couldn't go to the bathroom there. There was no place to go to the bathroom unless, because I think the mall was closed. And then I had to get on a bus, and then the bus had to take us downtown. And then by that time it'd been like an hour and a half or so since I had gone to the bathroom. And so when I finally got downtown with my friend, I was like, heads up, I'm going to need to pee soon. And she knows like everything, so it was like cool and all, but we were just like, yep, we're gonna find a bathroom. She's like, even I have to pee. So I was like, great, we can both go. Public transportation sounds terrifying to me. I know a lot of people obviously struggle with this, so I really don't know what you're supposed to do. That's another thing, is like, you know how there's that rule in like restaurants where you have to, or like gas stations or something, where you have to buy something in order to use the washroom? That's garbage. I think that's the worst thing. I get it, people, like, I don't know, I get the fact that you have to pay for the facilities, but most of the time I can get away with not having to pay. But even then, I don't feel bad for using the washroom. I feel bad that they think they have to judge me for not like paying or whatever. Like, if it doesn't have a sign that says you don't have to pay, then I won't. But normally I would just buy a bottle of water, which sounds counterintuitive, but that in itself is a garbage rule. If it's either that or I'm gonna pee on the streets. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, some people really do need to go to the washroom, like myself. And if you're gonna stop me and force me to pay for something, then you're gonna have a puddle on the floor. That is a strange rule. You already make like, the gas stations and stuff make enough money. They don't need to have an extra $2 from one random stranger off the street in order to make sure that their staff and maintenance are up to date. Anyways, that was a tangent. The point is, traveling and having to go to the bathroom can be difficult. There are ways to get around it though, but I'll get to that in a minute. So my third and more interesting and topic about this, or category about this, is when you're drinking, like drinking alcohol, there's this old wives' tale, I would say, or theory, that when you have a few beers or something, you start to drink, and you feel like you have to go to the bathroom, people will say, well, you don't break the seal. Like, don't break the seal, because when you go break the seal, which means going to the bathroom at least once after having some alcohol, then you're gonna start this whole like avalanche of having to go to the bathroom more and more frequently. And I quickly did a Google search on this before I started the video, because I was like, that's stupid. Like, even me knowing that drinking anything excessively is gonna make you go to the bathroom, but that's a stupid thing to say, and I was right. So long story short is, when you drink something like water or anything non-alcoholic, there's a part in your brain that will decipher whether or not you need to save that water for your body to live, or put it in your bladder to pee out. But when you start drinking alcohol, alcohol does a lot of things to your body, but not always negative. But this part, I would say, is just a thing that happens to your body. But when you drink it, the alcohol stops a signal in your brain to say, hey, the water you're putting into your body doesn't necessarily need to stay. Instead, it's going to get flushed out. So almost everything you drink in alcohol gets peed out in the end. So I looked it up really quickly to see if that was true. And since alcohol gets just flushed out of your system, and all the water that is in beer and all alcohols, water fills up your stomach faster, or your stomach. Water fills up your bladder faster, which is, I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, but when you drink a lot of water, your pee is diluted, so it looks like a little bit less yellow, or should look less yellow. You're basically saying to your brain that not all the water is going to stay in your body, so you're going to have to actually pee it out. So breaking the seal is you saying, I'm going to drink a bunch of beer or wine or whatever, alcohol shots, if you will, and I'm going to have to go to the bathroom later. But the first time you pee, it's not like you're breaking any kind of like barrier. You've already broken the barrier by drinking alcohol. You've told your brain that it's not important to dilute the water or break the water away from the alcohol, so now you're just going to pee it all out. And it just takes time for it to work. You're always going to have to wait a little bit of time, but I think that's a garbage saying. I didn't really believe in it the first time, because to me, the first time I drank, I didn't really know what the saying meant when I was younger. I wasn't a big drinker, but I'd definitely gone to quite a few parties, like probably when I was around 19, I think. Well, it was legal to drink when you were 19 here in Canada, or in Ontario. But I don't know, like I just remember people saying that every now and then, like, don't break the seal, and I was just like, but I gotta pee, and if I don't, I'll have to clean up something. Like, I wouldn't say that out loud, but I was just like, that's a weird saying. No matter what, like, you're going to build urine whether you're drinking or eating or something anyway, so you're gonna have to go to the bathroom regardless. I just thought it was a stupid saying. The last thing I want to say in the categories section of this video is that under bathroom discrimination, I would say that there is definitely an age, sex, or pregnancy type of discrimination. So for age, when you're younger, your bladder isn't fully developed, so you're going to have to go to the bathroom. Plus, when it's not fully developed, you're probably in a diaper anyway, so it's fine. People don't judge kids for, you know, peeing the bed or wetting the bed or wetting their diaper. Like, that's pretty standard because your bladder isn't developed. And when you're older, it's more or less you know, normal for someone over the age of, like, I'd say 50 or 60. I don't know, maybe even older, but either way, the older you get, the more less control you have over your bladder as it is. Like, it's pretty well known that people of a certain age can become more less continent, so you become incontinent and you can't hold your bladder. So those are the two ages in which you are standardly allowed to, you know, not have control over your bladder. And also the difference in males and females. So it's widely now known and approved, sort of, that women have leaky bladders, which isn't true. Not every single woman in the world has a leaky bladder, but in the sense that, yes, there is products designed for women out there to say that, you know, leaks happen, like the whole commercial base, and like saying use pads if you need to, and like it's widely approved, I think, at least in my area, that you should be, as a woman, allowed to have leaks, not men. So there's that. And then thirdly, pregnant women, of all things, are also known to have leaky or tiny squished bladders, which is not, these are all true things. Like, these are not things that I would say are not applicable, or, you know, you can't tell people that those people can't use the washroom. They're all true things. But those are all the pretty much widely accepted terms, or widely accepted ways you can be incontinent, or, you know, less continent. So those are just a few of the things, and then I want to talk about tactics and how to defer, or, you know, come back with people who say, make you feel bad for using the washroom. So there isn't a lot. I do think that, I mean, there's nothing you can do about how people say or think things they will think. To me, in your hands, this is what's in your control. So knowledge is power. I think I've always said that, whether or not it's been inadvertently or not, but you should know your body, and at least hopefully you know your body by now, which it's not a good or bad thing whether or not you know your body. Like, for a long time, I didn't know to go to the bathroom before I left for work or for school or whatever, but I just think that the more you know about yourself, the easier it is it's going to be able to handle awkward situations. And if you want to handle it discreetly, that is also somewhat up to you. I also think that, because if I announce I have to go to the bathroom, I'm the one who feels awkward about it. Maybe someone else doesn't, but that gives anyone else an opportunity to say, well, you're going to the bathroom pretty frequently, or like anything of any kind, that you can not tell people you're going to the washroom. Just step aside for a second so they don't have any preconceived ideas. Like, it depends on your scenario. I know these are obviously like they're not exactly the best tips. Don't share your bathroom trips if you can. It depends on where you are. If you're at school, you obviously have to get up and walk out of the classroom and get a whole pass. I don't know if they still do that anymore, or a bathroom trip pass if you have to go to the bathroom. Like, there's just some scenarios where you just have to let everyone know you're going to the washroom. Or if you're on an airplane, they have to get up and walk down the aisle to the back of the bus, or sorry, the airplane, and use the washroom. That was always awkward. Obviously it's not applicable in every situation, but in some places, like say you're hanging out with a bunch of friends, maybe you step aside with a good friend that has knowledge about this and you just want to pretend like you're going for a talk, but instead you're going to the bathroom, then that just might be a little bit less awkward. But in general, try and keep it in your control if you can. And then if it's out of your control, my other tip is to try not to care. I've said this many times. Most of the time people don't care. They just like to make wild observations about things that are pretty standard and normal in life, like, oh, you're going to the washroom, oh, you're leaving for work, oh, you're having lunch, like just stuff like that. Those are just, people are stupid and they like to say stuff. So for the most part, they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's just people like to say stuff, and it takes a lot of practice in how to handle those weird scenarios. And I know that saying this is much easier than doing it, but the more you try at it, the harder you try to say and stand up for yourself, the less people will care. And the people in your life, at least, not strangers or anything like that. There's going to be those off situations where you can't handle those things on your own, or without, you know, crying. And just try not to give in to the haters. Try not to give in to those sort of things. Like I said, it's easier said than done, but you know, I'm starting to like, in my last video, I was doing an AMA, and someone had asked me when I had decided, or when I had accepted the fact that I had an overactive bladder and I wet the bed. And I honestly could say it wasn't until like maybe this past year. Like, I keep changing my answer. I was like, maybe the past 1 or 2 years, or maybe the past year and a half. But I'm really, like 2017, I think, is when I almost decided, like the very beginning of this year, maybe when I started making YouTube videos, is when I started to realize, okay, this is a thing. I need to talk about it. Like, that's the thing, is like, I still am practicing in my own. Like, I'm not perfect at this, so I think the more we talk about it and share tips about it, like, this is just my tips. I don't want anyone to think that this is the way it has to be, but this is just what I've experienced, and I think it's important to talk about it. Like, I don't know who else to talk about it with, so we might as well talk to each other. And then, of course, the last thing, I don't really have anything I'd like to script with you guys, but maybe I'll do a whole video about scripting, but basically saying how to talk back to people and give them very short blurbs about your life. Like, most of the time, like I said, don't care about what people are saying, but if you have to care about what people are saying, say this. I don't really have any tips for that right now, so as I'm saying this, I might just make a whole video about how to say back to certain people phrases what you need to say in order to get the point across, and also tell them to leave you alone in the nicest way possible. But yeah, you're just gonna have to practice how you feel comfortable sharing yourself or these sort of situations. And I know this is very broadly based, but it just takes a lot of practice and self-acceptance and how to feel comfortable with your bladder. I hope this video isn't as long as 26 minutes, because I've been filming for over 26 minutes because I tried to film one earlier. This is a new thing I'm trying with, like, just part of my wall behind me instead of me sitting on my bed. The lighting's a little weird. I don't know if I like it, but if you like it, let me know. I might try some other ways to film in the limited space I have. I didn't like the one I was filming earlier. I think it looks stupid. For the past, 20-some videos, I've been filming sitting on my bed with a bright freaking light above me, like my headlight or the ceiling light. So I will try and find different ways, or I might just invest in some actual lighting. But for now, how does this look? I hope you enjoyed that video. Please comment below if you feel like sharing any tips and tricks about how to avoid bathroom discrimination and how to handle it well, objectively. And like up this video and subscribe, please. If you haven't subscribed already and you've already been watching these videos, please subscribe. I am trying to do these videos at least once a week at this point because I have weekends off mostly from real life work. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your support for all the things you guys do, comments, likes, subscribes, shares, all that kind of stuff, and it's just very nice what you guys have been doing. Anyways, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I just wanted to say one more thing about how I always ask people to subscribe. I don't know how much, like, most of my viewers actually watch real YouTube sort of stuff, but I know this is more for an educational basis, if you will, but I like to see when people subscribe because to me that means people are interested. And I check subscribers every day, and I like to, like, sometimes post a little thing about how many I've got, and it's really exciting to me. So if you're not subscribing for like any other you're not subscribing for any other purpose, just to show me that you actually care about what I'm making. If you don't, then you don't have to. But it only means to me that people are interested, so I should still be making these videos, and like it's not anything other than that. But it does tell me that I'm doing something that makes people genuinely interested in seeing more. So that's that I was trying to say. But yeah, just wanted to say that.